Your son is a remarkable young man. It wouldn't surprise me if he has more in common with Einstein, Mozart, and Picasso than he does with us.
Christian Wolff is a quiet math genius with more secrets than numbers on his ledger.
Can our son lead a normal life?
Define normal.
By day, he's a small-town accountant. But behind the glasses and spreadsheets lies a man trained to survive and equipped to kill. As he is hired for a job, he uncovers a conspiracy. But someone tries to kill him to cover up their crimes, thinking he is ordinary accountant. Stick around to find out what happens next.
Who are you?
The movie begins at a center for children with autism. A military man and his wife arrive, seeking help for their young son, Chris. The father, a strict and disciplined man, explains that Chris struggles to adjust due to their frequent moves caused by his military service. The institute offers to take Chris in, providing him with a stable environment to help manage his autism. However, the father declines, insisting that Chris must face the challenges of the real world. He believes that life is tough, and Chris needs to adapt, no matter how hard it is. It's not gonna happen. Can our son lead a normal life? Meanwhile, young Chris sits quietly on the floor in the waiting room, working on a puzzle. He rocks back and forth, softly chanting a nursery rhyme, Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. As he nears the end of the puzzle, he realizes a piece is missing and grows, increasingly frustrated. Just as he is about to have a meltdown, a young girl nearby notices his distress. She silently hands him the missing piece. Chris instantly calms down, revealing how deeply he values order and patterns in his world. Chris is now an accountant, helping a couple struggling with their finances. In his calm, methodical way, he explains tax strategies and shows them how to save money. Grateful for his help, at the same time, Ray King, the director of the United States Treasury, calls data analyst Mary Beth Medina into his office. He compliments her work, but questions her lack of ambition. When she tries to explain, King reveals a dark secret: her sealed arrest records from her youth. Using this knowledge, he pressures her to join a special project or lose her job. The mission: to uncover the identity of a mysterious accountant who manages finances for dangerous criminals and occasionally eliminates threats. King gives Medina a deadline: identify this man by the end of the month or face the consequences. What exactly do you want me to do? I need to know who he is. Meanwhile, Chris returns to his quiet, solitary home life. He prepares a simple dinner, follows a strict routine, and as part of his nightly ritual, blasts heavy metal music, turns on strobe lights, and painfully massages his shins with a wooden rod. Memories haunt him, including the painful moment his mother abandoned the family one Christmas. After taking his medication, he falls asleep. The next day, Chris visits the client's property for a shooting session. His precise aim leaves everyone stunned as he hits every target with ease. Later, he drives to his storage unit, which holds more than just extra belongings. Inside, he has a fully equipped trailer packed with high-end collectibles, valuable artwork, piles of cash in various currencies, and an impressive arsenal of weapons. While resting, he flashes back to his time in prison, where his cellmate taught him social skills and the art of laundering money for criminals. A phone call interrupts his rest. On the line is a British woman, his secret business associate, advising him to take on more conventional clients to avoid drawing attention. After some hesitation, Chris agrees. Chris meets a new set of clients the next day, the heads of a robotics prosthetics company. They explain that their accountant, Dana, uncovered missing funds and asked for his help. Chris accepts the job immediately, promising to start investigating the next morning. I'll need to see all those books for the past years. Bank statements, complete list of clients and vendors. Meanwhile, Medina reviews images, focusing on one that shows part of the accountant's face. She crops it and sends it to the face mapping department for analysis, hoping to identify him. Across the globe in Switzerland, Brax, notorious for dealing with shady businessmen, makes his move. He ambushes a man in a parking garage, slips into his car, and holds a gun to his head. Brax forces the man to promise to stop cheating other companies before letting him go. Back at the robotics company, Chris sets up in a conference room, but finds a woman asleep at the table. Awkwardly waking her up, he learns she's Dana, the accountant who discovered the missing funds. Chris insists on working alone. Dana leaves, and Chris immerses himself in the work, filling the room with mathematical equations on the whiteboard and windows. After intense focus, he makes a breakthrough. At home, Medina listens to a chilling audio file repeatedly. Using advanced technology, she isolates the accountant's voice and discovers he murmurs a nursery rhyme during the hit, a detail that brings her closer to understanding him. Back at the office, Chris pulls Dana back into the room and shares his findings. He explains someone rerouted funds to a fake company. Before they can investigate further, a shareholder storms in, demanding answers. Chris admits he needs more time to uncover the culprit. When I'm finished, yes. That night, Brax visits another shareholder. He forces the man to retrieve insulin from the fridge and gives him a grim ultimatum: inject himself and make it look like suicide, securing life insurance for his wife, or refuse and risk both of their lives. Trapped and terrified, the shareholder chooses the needle, ending his life. The next morning, Chris returns to the conference room and sees custodians wiping away his work from the windows. Panicked, he tells them to stop, but the company owner interrupts. He informs Chris that the shareholder he was investigating took his own life out of guilt for embezzling money. The owner asks Chris to drop the case, but Chris is visibly upset, frustrated that he couldn't finish his work. That night, at home, Chris endures another intense self-punishment ritual. Heavy metal music blasts, strobe lights flash, and he strikes his shins with a wooden rod, pushing himself to the limit. The next morning, as he heads out, a car trails him closely. Unbothered, Chris goes to his client's property to practice shooting. As he trains, childhood memories surface, brutal sparring sessions with his brother and a trainer hired by their father. The boys fought until they were battered and bruised, but their father forced them to continue even after the trainer quit. Meanwhile, two thugs hold Chris's clients hostage inside their house. They force the wife to lure Chris inside. As one thug escorts her to the door, Chris takes him down with a clean shot from a distance. Panicked, the other thug forces the couple into a truck and tries to flee. Chris shoots the vehicle, stopping it in its tracks. Dana. With no more information, Chris kills the thug and rushes to Dana's place. At Dana's apartment complex, Chris spots a suspicious man following her into the elevator. He sneaks in, taking the stairs to avoid detection. Inside Dana's apartment, two delivery men force their way in and attack her. Dana fights back and locks herself in the bathroom. Moments later, Chris bursts into the apartment, kills the intruders, and tells Dana they need to leave. Elsewhere, Brax, the man behind the thugs, learns that the accountant killed his men. Chris takes Dana to his trailer and tells her to wait outside while he gets ready, but she gives in to curiosity and steps inside. She discovers the trailer filled with cash, weapons, and valuables, leaving her stunned. She questions Chris, but he dodges most of her questions and stays cryptic. Meanwhile, Medina receives an important update on the audio file she sent for analysis. Experts reveal that the suspect might have endured childhood trauma or suffers from a neurological condition that makes him chant nursery rhymes under stress. Determined to solve the case, Medina visits the IRS office and starts cross-referencing the accountant's aliases with individuals showing unusually high incomes. Chris and Dana later check into a luxurious hotel to lay low. Overcome by curiosity, Dana finally asks Chris about his remarkable fighting skills. Chris explains that his military father pushed him to train and defend himself against bullies. He also shares that he has autism, making it hard for him to connect with others despite wanting to. Their conversation turns emotional, and Dana leans in to kiss him. Chris pulls away abruptly, but the moment sparks a revelation about the robotics case. He realizes the culprits weren't just stealing money. They were reinvesting the siphoned funds to generate even larger profits. Chris chases Brax down a street, but Brax notices and starts shooting. Undeterred, Chris follows him to a hotel room belonging to one of the shareholders, only to find her shot dead. Meanwhile, Medina digs through IRS records with her colleague and uncovers the accountant's true identity, Chris Wolff. She discovers he works at a small accounting firm and uses his cash businesses to hide his earnings. Surprisingly, most of his income goes to neuroscience organizations. Excited, Medina calls King to share the update. When Chris returns to the hotel, he finds Dana asleep on the couch. The sight triggers a childhood memory of his father forcing him and his brother to fight school bullies. Realizing the danger Dana faces, Chris decides to leave her behind for her safety. He quietly packs his things and leaves. At the same time, King and Medina lead investigators to search Chris's house. They note his unusual living arrangements, an arsenal of unregistered weapons, and a sophisticated security system. As the investigation concludes, Brax accepts a new job from the robotics company owner to install security cameras in his house. After dismissing the team, King and Medina talk privately. King asks Medina about her past arrest, and she admits she once tried to kill a drug dealer who sold drugs to her sister. She feels no regret. "No, I don't regret it." King shares his own challenges tracking down the accountant, reflecting on the hardships he endured over the years. King then reveals a crucial moment in his pursuit of Chris. He was at the hotel where the infamous audio of Chris killing someone was recorded. King recalls how, after the incident, Chris held him at gunpoint and asked if he was a good father. When King replied yes, Chris spared his life. Taking that as a sign to step away from his career, King was on the verge of quitting when a British woman called him, tipping him off about an illegal deal. The call pulled him back into the job, and King began using this mysterious woman as an informant. King also recounts how he interviewed Chris's former cellmate, a federal informant who had helped criminals launder money while they were in prison together. After being released, the cellmate was eventually hunted down, tortured, and killed by the very people he once worked for. Hearing the news devastated Chris, leading him to snap and escape from prison in a fit of rage. Years later, Chris attended his mother's funeral with his father, but things took a dark turn when they were asked to leave. Chris had a meltdown, and in the chaos, a security officer fired a shot at him. In a heartbreaking moment, Chris's father stepped in the way of the bullet and was killed. Back in the present, Medina, puzzled by King's revelations, asks why he's sharing all this with her. King explains that he wants her to be the one to take over the phone calls from the British woman after he retires in 7 months. Soon enough, the landline at Chris's house rings, and Medina answers. The British woman is on the other end, giving her a crucial tip about the robotics company. Meanwhile, at the company owner's house, Brax is already on high alert when Chris makes his move onto the property. Brax sends out his men to deal with the threat, but Chris takes them out one by one, sparing only one to interrogate for details about the house's layout. Watching the battle unfold through the security cameras, Brax tries to guide his men, but Chris, though injured, manages to take down every single one and make his way inside. As Brax watches, he suddenly realizes that the man he's been trying to stop is none other than his brother. He identifies this by Chris singing the same old nursery rhyme during the entire fight. Shocked, he orders his remaining men to stand down. Brax confronts Chris, furious at him for disappearing for over a decade and even more upset that Chris had gone to their mother's funeral, blaming Chris for their father's death. Brax lashes out, and Chris lets him vent his anger by hitting him. Once Brax calms down, Chris takes control, holding Brax at gunpoint to cool the tension. The brothers eventually reconcile, talking things out. The brothers begin to mend their strained relationship, but the company owner storms in, angry and confused about why Brax hasn't dealt with Chris. Without hesitation, Chris shoots the owner, and the brothers calmly continue their conversation. Before parting, Chris assures Brax they'll meet in a week to catch up. Meanwhile, another set of parents visits the neuroscience center, seeking help for their autistic son. The child wanders into a room and meets Justine, the director's daughter, who had helped Chris solve his puzzle as a child. The director explains that Justine is nonverbal, but communicates using a high-tech laptop. When Justine demonstrates the device, it speaks with the same British voice that has been guiding Chris all along. In the final scene, Dana cleans up her apartment after the chaos. She receives a mysterious delivery and finds a classic painting inside. On closer inspection, she peels back the outer canvas to reveal a priceless painting she recognizes from Chris's trailer, proof that he hasn't forgotten her. And that's how the movie ends. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more amazing videos.